What's good, Z homies? I wanted to hit y'all with something a little different today, something that caught my eye while on the bird app, which I feel is actually worth talking about, which is a rare occasion where we're talking about pretty much any discourse that began on Twitter. But it involves the rights of Dragon Ball Z and the conflicts that have erupted surrounding the Dragon Ball estate following the passing of Toriyama Sensei in March. The article comes from Weekly Toyo Keizai magazine, and it was translated into English by Super Chronicles. Big ups to that fellow for taking the time to do that and help my gaijin ass understand just a bit better what's actually going on with an IP that I know not only means a ton to me, but likely anyone taking the time to hang out on this channel as well. I won't assault everyone's intelligence by reading you the article word for word, but if I could, I want to give you the cliff notes, because for anyone that cares about Dragon Ball, this story brings up a number of topics worth diving into. As we know, Dragon Ball as an IP is an absolute global powerhouse. According to the article, just looking at results since 2015, let alone the series' inception in '84, the mobile game Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle has netted Shueisha, the rights holder to the Dragon Ball manga, along with other involved parties, approximately 5 billion yen in revenue as of the time of counting in February of 24. Insane work. Then Dragon Ball Superhero, which came out in 2022, made a global box office revenue run of 13 billion yen just itself. Astronomical numbers, homies, just unfathomable amounts of cash. But this ain't news to us who have been loving the series for a while, right? We know the cultural impact Toriyama Sensei's work had on damn near every corner of the earth, and it's amazing to see what he created continue to be fruitful after so many years. Where things get hairy is when the person in charge goes independent and the conflict this has resulted in regarding the Dragon Ball estate. According to the article, in May of 2023, Akio Ioku, the former head of Shueisha's Dragon Ball Room, went independent and pulled one of the craziest power moves I've seen in the corporate world yet, gathering a few loyal subordinates and creating Capsule Corporation Tokyo, a new organization with the aim of managing creative activities and handling the IP rights of the Dragon Ball series. An unnamed Shueisha insider reports that tensions were rising for a long time, but they really came to a head when Ioku decided to make a film adaptation of Toriyama Sensei's Sandland that apparently not all the supervisors were on board with. The insider says Ioku-san has a reputation of always putting the author and the creator first, which sounds like this led to bumping heads with production companies and TV networks who didn't like his stubbornness and reportedly began telling others that he had a condescending attitude. It also sounds like there were some disputes about what a collaboration with the metaverse and AI should look like, so in 2022, he was assigned to a new business department where they felt he would be less problematic. And of course, they didn't say that, right? But any of y'all familiar with how work culture goes, y'all know that companies, especially those with money, don't like worker bees who ask questions. So those that are deemed a problem can be banished to the island of misfit toys, where they will either squander in obscurity or hopefully even resign. Either way, the corporation's headaches are going and they get what they want. But it sounds like Ioku-san wasn't playing all that, and within a year, the homie went independent. From what the article states, Ioku had become the voice of Dragon Ball for the company, and his actions potentially put Shueisha's hold over the Dragon Ball IP into jeopardy. The article reports that Toriyama Sensei had a very trusting relationship with Ioku and was very upset seeing him go. But from the sounds of it, the two parties, those being Ioku-san's Capsule Corp and the juggernaut Shueisha, cannot see eye to eye, so the split continued. So this left things with the IP in a very weird spot. Ioku-san, who is now the spokesperson of Toriyama Sensei and the Dragon Ball IP, had gone independent, while the rights to the manga were still managed by Shueisha, so it muddied the waters as to who to consult regarding matters related to the original work, especially for third parties like Bandai Namco, who are sort of stuck in the middle with their titles like the aforementioned Dokkan Battle. The article states that according to a Bamco insider, the disputes are still raging with no clear answers. Some industry execs are now looking towards Toriyama Sensei's surviving family for a resolution, but the question still remains as to who will be taking the lead on the legendary IP. What an insane situation, homies. This man Ioku-san really pulled IRL Vegeta. He was a part of the Frieza Force for so long, but eventually stuff got to be too much, so he grabbed his loyal Saiyans and dipped out to wage guerrilla warfare. There's a lot of things hearing news like this brings up, but one thing that's at the forefront is that I sincerely hope Toriyama's surviving family don't get wrapped up in the hurricane that is corporate economic greed. And I don't mean that in a YouTube virtual signally have to say it kind of way. Over the holiday, I had a significant death in my own family, so Toriyama's passing made me think a lot about the emotions and trials that brought up in my own world that are very close to home. And as much as you have some individuals that really step up and go to bat when you're devastated after having such a loss, you also have those people who are very opportunistic and can be very predatory when people are vulnerable. I don't know anyone in the Dragon Ball estate personally, but no one should have to fight with lawyers and executives when they're grieving the loss of someone they love. That's something I can say without a shred of doubt. Along with that reality though, as a fan you can't help but wonder what this means for the direction of the franchise it will take as it moves forward. I wish it wasn't true, but moments like these in a series' life really do kind of scare the crap out of me. Because how often have we seen it where a major franchise loses leadership at the helm who are passionate about the work and were steering the ship from that position, with both their heart and making a living in mind, and for whatever reason, that leader is taken away from their platform and marketing and the C-suite executives step in. Folks who have no real attachment to the IP and only see it as a sacred cow to be milked, and for the tenure of their place at the helm of the ship, they proceed to bleed the life out of the franchise with every ounce of strength they have. People that care nothing about the fan base or the artistic integrity of the work, they just seek to merchandise and capitalize on every piece of the franchise they can until it's a lifeless shell of its former self that you can barely recognize. And I'm not naive enough to think that Dragon Ball Z isn't already a marketing cash cow, but I still feel like there's a level of care and quality control with the Dragon Ball franchise that is frankly a miracle considering the length it has been around and its global popularity. I shudder to think what would happen if those with the sole interest of capital win this beam struggle and the direction they would take the IP following that. Charm, adventure, wonder, these are at the heart of what DBZ represents, and nothing steals that away faster than monetary greed. I'm giving the Toriyama estate all my energy as they seek to navigate this difficult time, and I'll definitely be keeping my eyes open as things develop. That's enough from me, homies. What do y'all think? Do you have any hopes for who should take the helm of the Dragon Ball IP from here? And if so, what makes you gravitate towards them in particular? Chop it up with me in the comments, because this is a complicated one with a lot of moving parts, and I can see there being a lot of opinions on what a positive resolution looks like. Appreciate you as always, homies, and catch you again in the next video.